Obviously, there was an election yesterday. Didn't go the way many of us wanted. And some of us were surprised, some of us weren't. I was like 50-50. I knew this day could possibly come. And I just wanted to say that, for you guys who are disappointed, that, listen, there's a silver lining on everything. First of all, there won't be a January 6th, 2020-25 because the losing party in this presidential race respects democracy and respects the will of the people, and therefore a peaceful transfer of power is pretty much guaranteed, which is kind of pathetic to say, because had it gone the other way, we would have had other concerns, and that is pathetic. And that to me says all there needs to be said about that. The other thing I will say is I've had some emails from some people who are despondent, and I would just tell you, don't be despondent. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Take a day, 2 days, whatever. Of course, I do believe dark days are potentially ahead. But having traveled quite a bit, as you guys know, and studied places and toured prisons, political prisons, and just heard atrocious stories, and been to Auschwitz, many World War II places that just blew my mind when I thought about what had happened in the place that I was standing at the time. I was like, how did these people get through? I mean, terrible, terrible conditions. How? And I've read many, many books. I'm reading a book now about a political prisoner. And one word, hope. Hope. And hope is important because once you give up hope, you've given up. And hope is the realization that things are pretty bad, are pretty dark, but that there's a possibility that they would get better, and that possibility you can work for, and you can control that. So don't give up hope, for sure. We need you. Everybody of good conscience needs you. And the other thing I'd like to offer to make you feel a little better about this country, perhaps, is that what we saw in the election is not the disease. It's the symptom of the disease. Now, bear with me. You know I'm a big supporter of Ukraine, but I've studied pretty intensely during my support for Ukraine the idea of Russian disinformation, and I've talked about it quite a bit. And some people may think I'm upset, but I think those people don't understand the actual scope and scale of Russian disinformation and the role that it has played in the divisions in our society and the polarization in our society, which culminated in the election in 2016, 2020, and now again in 2024. Sorry for the sirens. But basically, Russian disinformation in this particular election was bananas. It was off the charts. It was transparent that anyone could see. Unfortunately, you cannot count on the social media companies to do anything but try to make money off of that. And, how can we stop it? Well, I've posted a couple videos, but we have to become better at media literacy. And we have to make our neighbors better. So what's the bright side that I was talking about? A lot of the decisions that were made last night by certain voting blocks, let's talk about Hispanics, Latinos, for example, a market, a group of folks I know pretty well from my past career and from having lived in Latin America and traveled there extensively, many, many friends. Why would Hispanics vote for someone who is going to enforce mass deportation, which is essentially going to just take really good people and cause them so much misery? People like them, our neighbors, really good people. It's disinformation. It's not knowing what they're doing. It's low information followed by disinformation, followed by emphasis on things that they do care about, but which are small in comparison, such as transgender rights, perhaps. If you're culturally conservative, that may concern you and it blows up. I've had people who don't even have kids are obsessed about dropping their kids off at school and getting a boy off at school and getting a female back at the end of the day, which of course is absurd. They're eating their pets is a great example of demonizing a group of folks. Again, lies. all of this was aided and abetted by a plethora of Russian disinformation. And it takes place in very obvious ways and very subtle ways. And so what I want to do with this video is two things. One, say don't give up hope. Do not give up hope. I just ordered a bunch of these as a fundraiser for Ukraine. And despite the bleakness of what people may think has occurred with this election for Ukraine, I am bullish on supporting Ukraine no matter what. And that includes some of people who support Ukraine, who are Ukrainian, who for some mind-boggling Stockholm Syndrome reason, also similar to Hispanics, voted in their not in their best interest and voted for a party that doesn't seem to be interested in their issues. But I still did this. I still got these ordered and they're on their way. Look out for those. So there's hope. I have hope. I'm going running after this. I have hope, optimism, always. Secondarily, and that's something also I've learned from reading about people in prisons that we talked about, hope and optimism, looking on the bright side. Secondarily, Russian disinformation, educating ourselves and then educating others. I am really keen on this idea that we become experts in something, as expert as we can, and then we try to pass that expertise on. I participated in a Russian disinformation conference about a week ago, or tried to. It got hacked by the Russians. Some disgusting messages, porn, aggressive porn, and disgusting messages, racist messages on the screen for about 45 seconds. I ended up getting bumped. They ran out of time. But the information from that panel was incredible. So rawtravelresearch.com is a place where you can go and you can download the PDF from that panel. It's very interesting and good reading. It's broken up into parts. I'm not going to say it's easy reading. I'm going to say if you break it up into parts, digest it, you will learn a lot about Russian disinformation and the many techniques that they use, some of which I guarantee you you're not aware of. But once you see it, now you'll be able to spot it. So you can download that, then you can start spreading that information to your friends. And this is the first step to recovering our democracy. Yesterday, yes, the people of the United States spoke, but also, you know who else spoke? The people of Russia. 78% of them wanted Donald Trump as their president, the top of any country in Europe. And of course, Vladimir Putin wanted that. That's why I can't understand any Ukrainian that would vote for Donald Trump. You're basically lockstep in line with Russia at this point, on that point. But 78% of Russians wanted that. They spoke as well through their propaganda, through their disinformation, and their meddling and interference in our elections. The only way we're going to get that back is not through the government, obviously, and it's obviously not through the people who own the social media companies, but by educating ourselves and then educating our friends and neighbors. And the good thing that you can get out of this, I promised you, other than just the education on that, is the knowledge that your neighbors are not as bad a people as you think they may be. They may think they think something, but in actuality, they do not think that. Someone has planted that. They have, the algorithms have taken that to another level in their brain, and it's now hardened into a belief. But if you can catch them before it becomes a belief, there is an opportunity for them to join the ranks of the rational, to join the ranks of the logical people who see things in a clearer light, who are not brainwashed by simply staring at our phones and getting all our information and all our biases confirmed from that over and over and over until it's just pounded into our head and we no longer are rational people, we are cult members. That's what we're trying to avoid. Worst case scenario, you'll be inoculated against that happening to you, and hopefully you can inoculate your neighbors, and then maybe very slowly over time we can pull our other neighbors who have gone down those rabbit holes. We can begin pulling them back and start normalizing the United States of America and acting on our own, not on the behest of a foreign country that has malevolent intentions. Thank you guys very much. Keep hope, stay strong. Look out for these. They're coming soon.